Today's episode is brought to you by the Money Plan Bootcamp by Budgets Made Easy. This is the 5-step framework to creating a money plan that you can actually stick to. The fun starts in just a few days. I'm so excited. Go to budgetsmadeeasy.com/bootcamp to come join me. Only a couple more days, so you don't want to miss out on this. And of course, you can watch the replays. And if you want access to the replays, the giveaways, the fun, the games, all the things, you have to sign up. So go to budgetsmadeeasy.com/bootcamp. In today's episode, we are covering stage 5 of the Money Success Roadmap, which is my step-by-step plan toward money success. And we use this roadmap inside of Money Success Club, step-by-step workbooks and trainings to get you from where you are to where you want to be. Now, since this is stage 5, if you haven't listened to the other stages this week, go back and listen to those first. I go into more in depth of what the Money Success Roadmap is in stage 1, 2, 3, and 4. That starts at episode 92. And Monday will be the last stage episode, which will be episode 97 with stage 6. But today we are going to cover stage 5. And just as a reminder, you cannot be in more than one stage at once. I want you to focus on just one thing at a time. So if you have not completed all the action steps in a previous stage, go back and finish that stage before moving on to the next stage. Because if you don't, you're going to be overwhelmed and you're not going to know what to do. I have set this up in such a way that you focus on one thing at a time, and that is it. Then you move to the next stage, because if you look at the big picture and all the things you've got to do to get from broke and stressed out and not sure what to do with your money to financial freedom, that feels overwhelming, right? You're like, how the heck am I going to make that happen? That is why this is broken up into step-by-step stages with action steps and milestones for every stage. So once you're in stage 5, you have a solid plan and you're super motivated to conquer your debt while still enjoying your life. Okay, you don't have to live on rice and beans over here. Okay, you can still enjoy your life while you are paying off debt. And guess what? That's actually probably more realistic for you to have long-term success, because when you deprive yourself of all the things that you enjoy, when you're done, or maybe not, maybe you don't even get to the point where you're done, but then you start, it's like feast or famine, right? And then you just start overindulging. And I know I experienced this once. We just like got so focused on paying off debt, especially me. My husband, I dragged him along. He did eventually, get on board with everything and start to change his mindset as well. But, toward the end, it was like, oh my God, I have to do it as fast as possible. But then once we paid off the debt, it was like, we started overspending. We didn't have a clear goal of what to do next and all the things. So, when you are more intentional with your overall plan of what you want to do, including after paying off debt, it's a whole lot easier to stay on track through the long term. And so that means not depriving yourself of all the joys in your life just because you have debt or while you're paying off debt. That doesn't mean that you don't make some temporary sacrifices. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I still want you to have some fun. You don't have to say no to everything. You don't have to eat only rice and beans. You don't have to never go inside of a restaurant. You just have to be intentional with where your money is going. And if you want to divert it to have some fun away from debt, that is perfectly okay. You don't need to feel shame and guilt about that. Now, in this stage, you also know what is happening with your money, and you realize that it's progress, not perfection. Because I know as perfectionists, we want to do everything the right way. And, if we're never supposed to eat out, then we're never supposed to eat out. And if you do, then you've failed, right? So we've got to move past that perfectionist mindset. We got to move past the overthinking. So you have a plan, you know what you need to do, it's clear, it's realistic, and you are going to make it happen. So you've built your confidence, you have figured out some ways to stay motivated, and you are really focused on paying off your debt while still enjoying your life. Now, in this stage, some of the action steps, I want you to identify some ways to increase your income because we can only save so much, right? And if you're already behind and you already don't have enough money to cover all your bills, you have to increase your income. We've already talked about ways to save money, and you've already got your basic emergency fund. Now I want you to start thinking about ways to increase your income, ways to make some extra money. And keep in mind that it's temporary, and there are lots of ways to make money online, which you can do at night or in the mornings, or while your children are asleep. It just kind of depends on what you are willing to take on and what you can mentally and physically handle in addition to like your main responsibilities. But start thinking of some ways that you can increase your income. And reminder, you're focusing on one debt at a time. So in stage 4, you've identified the different debt payoff methods, and you've created a plan for what you want to do and which debt you want to focus on first, or which debts in the order that you want to focus on them. But you're only focusing on one of those debts at a time. So you're focusing on one so you can make progress a lot faster, which mentally is way more rewarding. So you're not sending $20 to this debt and $20 to that one. You would send $40 to the one debt, and you're going to make progress a lot faster on that one debt. So you feel like you're actually doing something. If you spread it out too thin, it doesn't feel like you're making progress on anything. And so I want you to focus on just one debt at a time. Just like you focus on one stage at a time, you're just focusing on one thing at a time. You're focusing on paying off one debt at a time. And that's also why I want you to save first. So you save, then you're not trying to save and pay off debt at the same time. If you focus on one of those at a time, you feel like you're actually making progress. And mentally, that is way more rewarding and motivating, and it will help you stay on track in the long term versus the short term. Because if you don't feel like you're actually doing anything, you're going to get discouraged really quick. So you've also have created your visual progress trackers, and this is just where you are knocking out your debt. And so this stage is going to take you a little while. You're going to be in this stage a while. Once you have paid off your debt, then you're done with stage 5. So stage 4, you've created that plan. Stage 5 is where you're actually doing it. And so, you may, if things come up, you may have to go back to stage 4 and then go back to stage 5. If you have to focus back on savings and things like that. But if you increase your income and you find ways to make extra money or sell things, it's going to go a lot faster. But keep in mind that at this point, you've done all the groundwork. You've laid that foundation so that you can be successful in the long term. Now, I also want you to realize that this stage may take 2 to 3 years. So remember, we talked about ways to create your plan so that you can do it in 3 years or less. And now you're implementing it. Now you're doing it. And so stage 5 is going to take you a lot longer, and you're going to be working on yourself through that process. But if you can find ways to speed it up, you're going to be more successful because you're able to kind of speed things up a bit, and then you can move on to the bigger picture items, right? Because you're not doing this just so you can say, yay, I'm debt free, woohoo. Like, you have a bigger vision for your life, right? And this is the stage where you're finally getting it in progress. You're making it happen. You've laid the groundwork, and you're able to really see that big picture vision, and just you can feel it and you can smell it, you can taste it, right? Like, you are seeing that you can build wealth. Like, even if you grew up poor, if your parents weren't great with money, you are doing better, and you can see the reward. You can see that light at the end of the tunnel. You're going to be able to pay off your mortgage early. You're going to be able to save for retirement. You're going to be able to build a college fund for your children, be able to pay for those things that you want to help them with, but that you just can't with all the debt. And so you can finally finally see that you're able to do that and start making progress on that. And stage 5 is you're gonna love it and hate it at the same time at different points, right? So you've got to find ways to stay motivated. You got to keep those visuals around. You got to create that vision board, and that's why we kind of do all that prep work in stage 4, because stage 5 is going to take you a while, but I want you to be prepared for that mentally and financially so that you can make progress and get through this stage. Now, if you are already in this stage, good for you. But I do want you to go back and make sure you've created all those other action steps, even if you are already at the point of paying off debt, because there may be some other things that you need to clean up or do from the earlier stages, like making sure you're setting aside the right amount of taxes and insurance policies, and just kind of review those things periodically as well as you're going through stage 5, because stage 5 will most likely take you a lot longer to finish unless you are like super motivated and you don't have, a ton of like $100,000 worth of debt. If you have more of an average 30 to 50,000 and you make a decent amount of money, if you find ways to increase your income, you're going to be able to knock that out in less than 2 years. And once you start going, you get motivated and you find ways to do it even faster. So, as an example, when I first did all the calculations and I created my debt payoff plan, it was going to take over 2 years. Well, by the time we finished, we did it in 17 months. I knocked off almost an entire year off of our initial debt payoff plan because it was just like, oh my gosh, okay, how can I do this faster? How can I do it faster? I found different ways to stay motivated. Some of the things that I did to stay motivated is I read debt payoff stories like every single night. That's why I love sharing them here on the podcast. I share them on my website as well. I have lots and lots of debt payoff stories for you to use as motivation and kind of help you stay focused. I created visuals. So I had a thermometer that I drew on some construction paper for my student loans, and I just filled it in as I paid it off. And I let people know what my goal was. Some of my friends thought we were crazy and they didn't like me saying no to some things. And they make comments like, well, what if you die tomorrow? But I was also able to find communities online of people that were doing the same thing. And so that's why I have built the community for the Money Success Club so that we can support each other, because our family and our friends are not always the most supportive when you are on this journey for paying off debt, because they don't see the bigger vision that you see for your life. And so when you create that supportive community and when you have that support, it's a lot easier to stick with it and to stay on track over the long term. Of course, there's going to be ups and downs and bumps in the road, right? But as long as you keep moving forward, you're making progress. And so a supportive community really helps you do that, especially in stage 5, because it's going to take you a little bit longer to do that. Another thing I did to stay motivated is I figured out how much interest I was paying every single day. And so it was almost $5 a day when I started. It was like I think it was around 462. So not quite $5, but very close. And I would periodically, like through the month, okay, it was like, all right, I made this payment. What is it now? And I just slowly watched it go down and down, because almost $5 a day just in interest was actually more than my payment, my minimum payment, and which is why I had the debt so long and why I barely paid any of it off in 10 years, because I was barely making or barely paying the interest that was accruing every single day. And so I think I had paid off like $3,000 in 10 years and I still owed 25 grand on my student loans when I started like focusing on it. And I just could not believe the amount of interest that it was accruing every single day. And so that's one way to kind of get motivated when you see the real dollars that the debt is costing you, because it's easy to ignore that and just say, okay, I'm making the minimum payment, I'll pay it off in a few years, like it's not that big of a deal. But when you're seeing like, oh my gosh, this cost me $5 today, like I could have put $5 towards something else, like it adds up really quickly. And so that was one way that I kind of stayed motivated. And as I saw that number drop, it's like, okay, all right, I'm making some progress. Like I can actually see what I am saving every single day by focusing on paying off this debt. So, figure out what works for you. That may not be, exactly what you want to do. That math may feel overwhelming, but you can, I believe my account just told me what it was, and I just tracked it. Or I divided the monthly was by how many days or so. It's been so long now. I don't remember exactly how I figured out the daily interest, but I want to say that my student loan might have may have told me what the day-to-day interest was. I feel like it probably did. And it like accrued like every day. It was adding to it. It was ridiculous. So all right, so let me know on Instagram, Budgets Made Easy, what you are doing to stay motivated in the long term. And don't forget that the Money Plan Bootcamp starts Sunday night with the welcome party. The live training starts on Monday. If you haven't signed up yet, go sign up right now. Don't forget, budgetsmadeeasy.com/bootcamp. I've got over $150 worth of stuff that I'm giving away. I'm giving away a physical Living Well, Spending Less planner. It's the planner I've been using for the past 4 years. I love it. The actual planner. I'm giving away highlighters, pens, stickers, and The Power of One More by Ed Mylett, which is one of my favorite self-improvement books that I've read in, well, at least this year, maybe even longer. It's really one of my favorite books right now, and I'm giving one of those away as well. So the big giveaway, you've got to join us and be a VIP, which is also free. So the VIP group is free as well, but you've got to be a VIP to get into that big giveaway. Over $150 worth of stuff that I will ship to you if you're in the US or Canada. I will ship it to you, but come and join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to learn a lot, and you're going to be able to create a money plan that you can actually stick to, which is what we want, right? There's no point in creating a money plan, a budget, if you can't stick to it. We want to achieve our dreams and live the life that you want. Well, you got to make a plan that's realistic that you can actually stick to get there. It's not a one size fits all. So I'm going to teach you how to do it and how to make it realistic for your family. I hope to see you there.